Welcome to Bark Dialogue, the podcast for people who want to truly understand dogs, improve animal welfare, and build safer, stronger relationships between humans and animals. If you care about what animals are trying to tell us, you're in the right place.
And welcome back. Today we're talking about something deeply important for anyone who truly cares about dogs. Not just loving them emotionally, but protecting their long-term health, welfare, and quality of life. A major new report released jointly by the University of Exeter and the Naturewatch Foundation has uncovered serious failures in the way local councils enforce dog breeding welfare laws across the UK. And honestly, the findings are alarming. Because while the law technically exists to prevent the breeding of dogs with severe genetic disorders or extreme physical deformities, the reality is that enforcement appears to be inconsistent, fragmented, and in many cases practically invisible. So today we're going to break down what this report discovered, why it matters, how unhealthy breeding practices are still slipping through the cracks, and what needs to change moving forward. Let's start with the basics. Under UK law, licensed breeders are not supposed to breed dogs with traits that negatively impact their health or welfare. That includes dogs suffering from severe breeding difficulties, extremely flat faces, excessive skin folds, spinal deformities, eye abnormalities, and inherited genetic disorders. The goal is simple. Dogs should not be intentionally bred to suffer. Now, that sounds reassuring on paper, but according to this report, the actual enforcement of this welfare protection is shockingly weak. Between 2018 and 2025, local authorities across England recorded only 31 cases of non-compliance with core health regulations. 31 across the entire country. Even more astonishing, Scotland reportedly recorded 0 cases over 4 years. Now think about that for a moment. We continue to see widespread popularity of dogs with serious physical health problems. Dogs struggling to breathe, dogs unable to regulate temperature properly, dogs with chronic spinal pain, dogs requiring surgery simply to function comfortably. So the question becomes, are these problems truly rare? Or are inspections simply failing to identify and formally record them? The report strongly suggests it's the latter. Researchers found what they described as a postcode lottery in enforcement. Some councils performed thorough inspections, examined veterinary records carefully, and actively assessed breeding welfare standards. Others admitted they had no consistent methodology at all, meaning whether welfare laws are properly enforced may depend entirely on where the breeder happens to live. That's a huge problem, because animal welfare should not depend on geography. It should be standardized, evidence-based, and consistent nationwide. One of the most concerning findings involves how councils often deal with problematic dogs. Instead of formally recording a legal breach against the breeder, many authorities simply remove an individual dog from the breeding license quietly, behind the scenes. Now, on the surface, that might sound helpful, but here's the issue. If the breach is never formally logged, the system creates the illusion that compliance levels are high. In reality, concerns may still exist. They're just being handled informally and disappearing from official statistics. That means the public, welfare groups, and policymakers may never see the true scale of the problem. And without accurate data, meaningful reform becomes much harder. The report also revealed how limited the actual legal consequences have been. Out of those 31 recorded non-compliance cases in England, 17 resulted in license refusals. 6 involved license variations. 2 led to license suspensions. Only 2 resulted in criminal prosecutions. And incredibly, there were 0 license revocations. 0. Despite years of ongoing concerns surrounding extreme breeding practices. That raises serious questions about whether the current system is acting as a genuine deterrent, because laws without effective enforcement often become little more than symbolic. The findings also echo previous investigations by 4paws UK, which described dog breeding enforcement across the UK as inconsistent and fragmented. According to those investigations, license renewals exceed 95%, often functioning more like routine administrative approvals rather than rigorous welfare inspections. And perhaps most worrying of all, many councils reportedly lack inspectors with specialist animal welfare or genetic health training. That means officers may not always recognize structural deformities, breed-related respiratory comprise neurological issues, or inherited defects that affect long-term welfare. And this matters enormously because you cannot properly regulate what you are not trained to identify. This is exactly why many welfare organizations and campaigners are pushing for stronger national standards. One proposal receiving major support is the innate health assessment. This is essentially a visual welfare assessment tool designed to identify severe physical exaggerations or harmful anatomical traits before dogs are approved for breeding. The idea is to create a clear national benchmark, not opinions, not guesswork, not inconsistent council interpretations, but an evidence-based threshold that prioritizes the dog's physical well-being above appearance trends or commercial demand. And personally, I believe public education is a massive part of this conversation too, because consumer demand drives breeding trends. If people continue buying dogs based purely on appearance, without understanding the lifelong health implications attached to extreme features, the cycle continues. So this isn't just about breeders. It isn't just about council. It's about society's relationship with animals. It's about whether we prioritize aesthetics over welfare and whether we're willing to ask difficult ethical questions about what humans have normalized in companion animal breeding. At the end of the day, dogs cannot advocate for themselves. They rely entirely on humans, breeders, veterinarians, inspectors, policymakers, educators, and the public. And when systems fail to consistently protect animal welfare, animals pay the price. Hopefully, reports like this will push the conversation forward and encourage stronger, more transparent, and more accountable welfare enforcement across the UK. Because preventing suffering should never be optional. Thank you so much for listening. If you find this episode valuable, please share it with fellow animal lovers, dog professionals, educators, and anyone considering getting a dog. And remember, understanding animals better is one of the greatest forms of compassion we can offer them.